Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight in our news. Former Senator Frank Smith acquitted of bribery and extortion charges. Plus, an attorney distances himself from a housing controversy. And no boom bye-bye at Buju Banton's concert.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News, and thanks for joining us. I'm Jared Higgs. Topping news tonight, former Senator Frank Smith is a free man after a magistrate ruled that the prosecution failed to make a case against him. The ruling on the no-case submission, which was greeted by cheers from those in the gallery, brought the nearly 14-month trial to an end. Our Jasmine Brown was in court and has reaction from Smith, his family, and legal team.
Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt delivering her ruling after a very lengthy explanation that lasted more than an hour. Ferguson Pratt delivered her ruling in a packed courtroom filled with the who's who of PLP members, including former Prime Minister Perry Christie, PLP leader Philip Brave Davis, Anglerston MP Glenys Hannah Martin, former MPs Shane Gibson, who also has a pending case involving corruption allegations, and Jerome Fitzgerald. They, along with a large contingent of Smith's family members, burst out in cheers and applause as Ferguson Pratt threw out the corruption charges against Smith after deciding he had no case to answer. Ferguson Pratt said the prosecution failed to prove that the former Public Hospitals Authority chairman received $60,000 in bribes from Barbara Hanna, the owner of Magic Touch Cleaning Company, from 2016 to 2017. As she passionately read her ruling, Ferguson Pratt said there is not a scintilla of evidence to support the fact that there was a meeting between Barbara Hanna and the accused prior to the award of the contract. She added that Hanna's testimony was inconsistent with the allegations. Hanna, in her testimony, alleged that she met Smith in 2016. However, the defense said that this meeting had to have taken place in 2015 as the PHA board resolved to award the contract on December 23, 2015. The chief magistrate said based on her testimony, she found Hanna was not a credible witness and said her demeanor on the stand discredited her and her evidence was wholly unreliable. Smith's acquittal comes exactly 2 weeks after prosecutors and defense attorneys wrapped up their arguments in the no-case submission. After acquitting Smith, Ferguson Pratt went on to note that Smith's matter was the first high-profile matter to be tried, and she found some of the occurrences during the trial egregious. She went on to say the procedure adopted was wholly inappropriate, as she highlighted the fact that during the trial it was revealed that Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands approved the award of a nearly $2 million contract to Hanna after Smith was charged. She also called Minister of National Security Marvin Dame's decision to meet Hanna in his constituency office inappropriate, as she insisted the case has a political flavor and was unorthodox to say the least. Outside court today, Smith reacted to the ruling.
Firstly, I'm grateful to God Almighty, who is my shield and my sword. I want to thank my wife, my family, of course my legal team, my leader, Philip Brave Davis, Prime Minister in waiting whenever the next election is called. I want to say that there will be many opportunities to speak about what has happened over the recent months since the general election.
Smith's attorney and family also reacted.
This is a finding not of not guilty. This is a situation where the end result today has shown innocence in Frank Smith. Innocence. Not guilty means the charge is proved. Innocence means that the charge should never have been launched, and what was launched could never, ever result in a conviction.
When they messed with Frank, they took on the wrong people.
Many of you who would have followed the case from its inception
would have recognized that this matter should have perhaps been completed and stopped some time ago, because it was a non-starter. And the toll that this has taken on the family of Frank and his friends was just exhibited by the reaction of his uncle, who was just still distraught. And though it has come to an end, it's very difficult for him to come to grips with what he has observed.
Edward Jenkins QC prosecuted the case. It is unclear if the Crown will appeal the decision. Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Attorney Valentine Grimes is distancing himself from a company that submitted an invoice to the Ministry of Housing, which Housing Minister Romuald Ferreira claims was more than 10 times the value of the work done.
I have never, ever submitted an invoice on behalf of that company. I've never, ever received monies for myself or for anybody else, including the company, from the government with respect to that matter or any other matter.
The issue emerged in the House of Assembly on Wednesday when opposition leader Philip Davis and Ferreira sparred over Davis's claim that his privilege was breached by Ferreira during a previous sitting of the House. The housing minister claimed the developer charged his ministry $4 million for work on a subdivision that was previously valued at $300,000. The back and forth prompted Ferreira to produce an invoice dated December 31st, 2018 from a company called Brighton Bahamas Limited, as well as a document listing Valentine S. Grimes as its agent. Grimes says his involvement with the company was limited to performing legal work.
We filed, as is required by law, Section 17 of the Companies Act, that we are the registered office for the company. To the best of my knowledge, ordinary Bahamian companies do not have agents. International business companies have agents, but I was never an agent for the company. I am not, and I've never been, a beneficial owner of the company, a shareholder of the company, an officer of the company, or director of the company. And I had absolutely nothing to do with the invoice that was referred to by the minister.
When pressed for more information on Brighton, Grimes says that information can be obtained from the invoice that was submitted to the ministry.
I have nothing to do with what other than what is filed publicly. The minister did file a document, the invoice, which speaks for itself. That has on it the information that you would normally be required. The person who submitted the invoice, presumably, the telephone contact for the person who submitted the invoice, etc. But beyond that, I'm not familiar with the matter at all.
Grimes insisted that Ferreira has his telephone contact and could have reached out to him. He says he subsequently contacted the housing minister to explain to him that he isn't the agent for the company and that his law firm had incorporated the company in 2014. Asked for his reaction to being named during the contentious debate, Grimes says it made him concerned for his public standing.
I've always treasured my reputation. And at the end of the day, those of us who got involved in public life and those who are involved now must do their best to protect their reputation. And so, in a way, I was saddened that unnecessarily my name was pulled into it, leaving the inference that I was involved in the process. But I make it very, very clear. I had absolutely nothing to do with what transpired.
For Davis's part, he accused Ferreira of misleading the House, noting that the invoice tabled by Ferreira was actually for $2.19 million. The matter was referred to the Committee of Privilege by the Speaker of the House. It turns out reggae artist Buju Banton will not be performing his controversial single Boom Bye Bye when he comes to town next month. His publicist sharing today that the artist will instead perform a long list of his other hits. Kyle Joaquin has more.
If you were waiting to hear Boom Bye Bye, you're out of luck. Buju Banton's publicist Ronnie Tomlinson asserting during a press conference today that the song, which has caused quite the stir in recent weeks, particularly among the LGBTQ community, will not be on Buju's setlist.
Buju has not sung that song for years. That song has been removed from his set. That song is also a song that he has never made a dollar off of. And he will not be singing or performing that song. So as far as any concerns, that's just something that we just want everyone to know. That song is not a part of the set.
After serving 7 years in prison in the U.S., Buju's Long Walk to Freedom tour is set to make a stop in Nassau March 30th and is expected to draw a crowd of up to 18,000 people. And while he won't belt out the lyrics to Boom Bye Bye, all of Buju's other hits won't be left out.
Buju has a lot to tell his fans, and his performance is one that's going to be energetic, but one that's going to be epic and historical.
in Jamaica, we do most, if not all, major events, major festivals, and of such, we're doing the main event in Jamaica. And what we're doing is taking that same footprint from Jamaica to Nassau to ensure that there's no hitch, no downfall. Everything should be superb.
The concert is being put on by Paradise Productions Limited. Early bird tickets for the concert are $65 for general admission, $125 for VIP, $200 for platinum, and $350 for all access. Corporate Bahamas has jumped on board, including Rev and Alive.
We're looking to be able to sell tickets to customers, so just to create that ease of purchasing tickets, but yeah, basically getting the word out. Also at the actual events, we're going to be providing Wi-Fi services so people can stay connected as they enjoy the concert.
And the man himself has a message for his fans in the Bahamas.
Yes, Bahamas. It's been a long time since I've seen you. It's been a long time since you have seen me. However, we shall see each other soon. And as we exit the airport, straight up to Africa, straight up to town, and around town, and cross town, let the world know, and let the masses know, Buju Banton shall be in town.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Till they come on Our News, NHIA officials announcing expanded benefits to the National Health Insurance Program. The details are coming up.